the occasion last week as well. So it's all doing good stuff. Sorry.
There you are. No, not at all. Okay, so 3 days later on the Sunday, Australia took on the English and were 38 points to 0 winners. Brian saw this as well.
Yeah, he said, only watched the first half when we were 24-0 down. Was still a bit groggy from the double-header qualifiers from quarterfinal, from New Zealand the day before, to be honest. So needed some fresh air before the England quarterfinal. From what I remember, the Aussies were miles better, quicker, tougher, smarter, and more skillful. Expect an Oz versus New Zealand final.
Well, you would do with a 76 points to 0 win over the Cook Islands, which is what the Kiwis delivered. And then the final game of that round saw Papua New Guinea go down 8 points to 22 against the Canadians.
The Canadian women is made up basically of a rugby union side, pretty much, who've been put together to play league for this tournament. So the fact that they've been...
Well, they've got a result. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Well, the fact that they won this game and that they were not embarrassed against a very physical New Zealand side in the first outing as well. There was a couple of the Kiwi forwards, number 12, God, she can tackle.
Right.
So like, whilst England have got this ability to find space and put on structured passing moves, and Australia are really instinctive at hitting gaps with pace and skill, the Kiwis are physical.
Right. Well, we'll find out more about them later, I'm sure. And then today, Mark, just today, England beaten, surprisingly, by the Cook Islands, 22 points to 16. The Australians, as you might expect against the Canadians, were dominant, 88 points to 0. And the New Zealand side beat Papua New Guinea 38 points to 0. So what that means is that England's women will take their place in the semi-finals despite that shock defeat to the Cook Islands, and they will play New Zealand whilst Australia take on the Canadians. Both fixtures being played in a double-header on Sunday the 26th of November, before the final a few days later. Anything you want to add on that? I know you were opening Twitter.
I think it's disappointing, isn't it, that England lost that game?
Yeah, it is, certainly.
England have been playing hurt, though. They got a few injuries in the first game, and it's a quick turnaround, isn't it?
Certainly is, yeah.
And stuff. So every credit for the ladies putting in the effort that they've put in here. I don't anticipate that we'll have enough to beat New Zealand.
No,
but you never know. You never quite know. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility either.
There you go. Okay, well, that is the World Cup's taken a good look back on. Let's take a look to the future now as we bring you our previews and predictions for the semi-finals. Okay then, Mark, so the semi-finals are upon us, and we've got the squads laid out as well for both teams. So let's take a look in depth at what's going on with these. Australia take on Fiji in the first semi-final on Friday evening, or Friday morning our time. The squads are out. Billy Slater, Dean Gagai, Will Chambers, Josh Dugan and Val Holmes across the back for the Australians. Michael Morgan and Cooper Cronk in the halves. Aaron Woods, Cam Smith and David Clemmer on the front row. Boyd Cordner, Matt Gillett and Josh Maguire in the back row. An interchange of Wade Graham, Jordan McLean, Regan Campbell-Gillard and Tyson Frizzell for the Aussies. Lots of size there. The Fijians have got Kevin Nguama, Suliasi Vunivalu, Tani Milne, Aquila Uate and Marcelo Montoya across the back. Hain and Raiwalui, I can never do that one, in the halves. Ashton Sins, Api Coruscant and Vunakesi in the front row. Kikau, Williame and Kami Kamika in the back row. Interchange Lovodua, Saifiti Rokika and Nakubuai. Can the Fijians cause what would be singularly, in my opinion, the biggest upset in international rugby league pretty much ever?
I don't think they can.
No, I don't think they can. It's a shame, isn't it? Because it would be wonderful.
They have a lot of average players who really do get so emotionally invested in playing for their country that there is a fire within them, a special feeling within them. Yeah. But they're playing against a side that don't fuck up, basically.
Yeah.
And you look at the bench for both sides, and
that's the bigger difference.
The Aussies have got a physically imposing bench that have been playing well in the tournament, and Fiji have kind of got a soft-centred, kind of not tough, not good enough bench there, and so there won't be a drop off from this forward pack for the Aussies. And I absolutely love Dane Gagai as a rep player. I think, in my view, he should be in the conversation for rep player of the year for this year. And Cronk and Morgan are going really well together. I just don't see it at all. You've got some players that are so composed and so good. David Clemmer's been exceptional in this tournament. I think the thing is, you see, New Zealand played an easy game against Scotland.
Yeah,
they had a game where they weren't really pushed against Samoa, and then they had a big emotional upset. They went into the game doubting themselves against Fiji, and those doubts came true. Plus, they picked up a couple of knocks.
Against Tonga, you mean?
Against Fiji in the quarterfinal.
Okay.
I think it would be unlucky for Australia to pick up the knocks, and I also think they will deal with that adversity a bit better. They've got some more professional. Their leaders are more professional players than the leaders for the Kiwis were.
Yeah.
And I also don't see Fiji not conceding a try in this game.
Yeah.
I actually think they're going to concede about 7 or 8.
I think so.
It's going to be a 40 points.
I think so. I think so, as you said. But Fiji have done remarkably well consistently over a number of years, haven't they, really, in terms of what they've achieved at World Cups, and particularly what they've achieved in this one. Well, the one that we're interested in, really, Mark, is Saturday morning, Saturday evening, depending on where you are in the world. Tonga taking on England. We weren't expecting to be facing the Tongans in the semis, perhaps, but they've definitely earned their place there. Squads are out for this one. Will Hopewati will start at fullback with Tupu and Fusitua on the wings. Jennings and Connie Hull in the centres. Tuilola here and Higado will play in the halves. Andy Fafita, Sevilla Havili and Takiaho on the front row. Manu Mao, Sika Manu and Jason Taumalolo in the back row of the scrum. Katoa Terepo, Pangai Jr. and Murdoch Masilla make up the interchange bench for the Tongans. For England, Gaz Widdop at fullback, McGilvery and Ryan Hall on the wings with Watkins and Bateman continuing at centre. Luke Gale and Kevin Brown, Asterix, will play in the halves. Kevin Brown has to come through a fitness/concussion test. Doesn't need to definitely take his place. And then it's Chris Hill, James Graham and Josh Hodgson on the front row. Sammy Burgess, Elliot Whitehead and Todd Flanders locking the scrum. Walmsley, Tom Burgess, Ben Curry and James Roby on the interchange bench. How do you see this one going?
Well, firstly, on the Brown thing, I expect him to make it, but if he doesn't, I'd be tempted to play Lomax at 6 and keep Widdop at fullback.
Yeah, Widdop has definitely been better at fullback and he's more reliable than Lomax, isn't he?
I'd just be tempted, and then if Lomax ain't working out, you've got a solution. Hodgson goes into the halves and Roby plays nearly a full game.
To be honest, I think that would be my first solution rather than faffing around with Johnny Lomax too much.
Fair enough. What would you do? Put Lomax or Ratchford on the bench then, so you've got someone who can cover a number of positions there?
I'd have Ratchford.
Yeah.
I'd have Ratchford on the bench. I'd put Hodgson at the halves and let Roby do what he's been doing tremendously well all year. Really, I think that's the way to win that game. I don't think you want to. I wouldn't take many risks with Johnny Lomax. Great story that he is and what he's come back from in terms of injuries and what have you. Just worth feeling it in his games.
So is there anywhere on our team sheet that you actually think we have a definite advantage over Tonga?
There isn't. The halves, I think.
Hooker?
Oh, certainly Hooker, yeah. The halves, I think we've got an advantage. I just think because just Sassy Islander teams tend not to flourish. Tuilola here, he's done well for this New Zealand Warriors he plays for, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's done well for the New Zealand Warriors this year.
Well, no, he plays for West Tigers now.
Right.
He moved mid-season.
Did he move mid-season?
Yeah.
So that shows you how much I've seen of him. I just think that's possibly
He's done well for Tonga. Him and Hingard
they've all done well for Tonga.
Played way better for Tonga than I've ever seen them play in the NRL.
I can't confidently predict which way this one's going to go, to be honest with you. And I think it might well come down to who uses the interchange bench the best. and who
Okay.
manages their substitutions and manages their changes better. Tamalolo is going to make plus 150 yards.
It's where you let him make the yards.
That's the question. That's how do you control him? And in trying to control him, do you leave yourself open for gifted players like Mao, Takiahu, Sikamani, these other forwards to make bigger yards as well? It's a tricky one.
This is the one question
But they will be
mark.
having that conversation about us, mate.
This is the one question mark about it, is Walmsley and Tom Burgess aren't the fittest players, but the players that start in the game in the forward pack are the fittest players.
Yeah.
Those forwards can match up to these Tongan forwards during that period. And what happens is when the bench swap happens, we're bringing on better players than what they're bringing on. Yeah. As much as Murdoch Masill is apparently drawing interest from the NRL already from this, I don't think he's been great, to be honest. And I don't get huge fears around Terapo and Pangai Jr. either.
No.
So obviously,
and so is that a spell Havili essentially, isn't he?
Exactly, yeah. And so I see potentially our most powerful running time in the forwards matching up to their least powerful running time. So it's about making sure we can control the ball in those areas. I think key is we are quite a fit side, I think, overall.
Yeah.
And I think key is having the energy to close down Lola here and Hingano so that they can't put good kicks up for the tall, very good in the air wingers in Tupu and Fussy Tua. If you can stop that connection, I don't necessarily think they've got the ball through hand game to break us down. I don't think the distribution from hooker is snappy and sharp like what Roby delivers. And Hodgson can do it very, very well when he's on form too. I think we're going to win it by 12 to 16 points.
Really?
I'm going to say 28-16.
I think the intangible thing that we've not considered is the level of support that Tonga will have. I know it's not been played in Tonga, but it's been played in New Zealand. And I think that will bring another element to it that we haven't really talked about, which is the support and the backing of the crowd and what noise that's going to generate.
But England always anticipated that this was their semi-final.
Yeah,
okay. Obviously, the only flip side of that is a lot of the England tourists will be watching the Ashes game this weekend and maybe saving themselves for the final in Brisbane from the Rugby League standpoint. But every touring party that's arranged to go for a World Cup game has arranged to go to this game from our country.
True.
So we should have a decent representation too. And our chants can combat their hymns, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we've got the players who can quiet them down.
Yeah, we have.
We've got the best winger in the tournament. They might have the second best or joint second best with Vunivalu. You might argue. I don't know. We've got the best winger in the tournament in Jermaine McGilvery.
Yeah.
We've got one of the best front rowers, even though they have two with Graham, and we've got one of the best hookers in Roby. We've got players who've been playing at a high level in this tournament, even though there's not been so great. Our completion percentage was obviously now looks terrible because of the PNG game, but before that we were listed as second in the completed percentage overall in the tournament, according to a graphic that popped up during the Lebanon against Tonga game. Right, Tonga too have got mistakes in them.
No, definitely,
and I just feel like we can defend our goal line well, so if they get close to it, we'll win that area of the pitch.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can defend their own goal line as well as we, considering they gave up all these tries to Lebanon, who'd not scored a lot of tries up to that point.
Yeah. They gave up tries to New Zealand.
There was some sloppy tries that New Zealand were allowed to score, even though they didn't score tons of tries. They conceded 3 tries to a Samoa side that, to me, have been like so disorganised in attack. I'm pretty sure our attack can score on. I think we win between the goal line and the 20 metres both ways, and that's why we're going to win the game. I think personally.
Okay.